Today on the Topping Show, Vivek on Taylor Swift being propped up by the media goes viral. Carrie Lake turned down a bribe last week and is still going viral as well. Bud Light Tyler Kelsey tweet winner is Dylan Mulvaney. Kayak activists vandalize the Mona Lisa. Ford CEO is committed to making an affordable V8 sports car. And Microsoft has multiple outages. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT there or a business owner, reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Ford CEO committed to making the V8 affordable as well as in a sports car. I must admit, I don't normally tear up when I'm reading articles and looking at industry trends, but seeing this glimmer of hope made my heart swell. Some might debate 3 times. I still need to see a doctor about that. But in all seriousness, Jim Farley is perhaps the last CEO committed to the muscle car, and granted, I think we could say confidently the Mustang won the pony war. All the other competitors have acquiesced to boring, sleepless technologies or technologies that really put you to sleep. You have the Chevrolet Camaro, which I thought had great styling. A couple of models were made in the USA. You still had a stick shift and V8 to the last day you could buy it. But the Camaro, throughout its history, has died a couple times. They've resurrected the model a couple times, and there's been prior history years you couldn't even purchase a Camaro. And General Motors, in their infinite, what's the opposite of wisdom? Moron? How do you describe Mary Barra, the CEO? Blindness, blurry-eyed, foolishness. In their lack of understanding what the customer wants, they have decided to kill the Camaro again. And this time, they say the Camaro will come back as, again, remember, the Camaro is a pony car. V8, stick shift, Mustang, beating sometimes. And the Camaro is now going to come back as an EV 2-door SUV. And for many in the muscle car community, they died a little inside. It was an abomination to what was one of the greatest automotive icons in U.S. history. You also have the Dodge Challenger, which again, very similar to the Camaro, had died and come back a couple times throughout its model production history. And for the longest time, you could get the Challenger with a V8, good old, and as well, keep in mind, it's a Hemi. So you get a V8 Hemi with a stick shift. Now granted, the take rate wasn't that high, but it had a phenomenal exhaust note. And in terms of giving the consumers what they wanted, I would argue that the Challenger had the best of every world. They started around 26 grand all the way up to over 100 grand, depending on how much power you want to put into it. Which is a great way to address multiple markets and meet multiple desires of multiple consumers. But again, in foolishness, Stellantis, the new parent company of Chrysler Group, which again, Chrysler owns Dodge, they decided, you know what, we're going to try that and make an EV. And maybe we'll have a straight 6 engine, aka 6 cylinders internal combustion engine, which is good for BMW, which they have decades of perfecting that engine platform is what the consumers want. But again, going from a V8 Hemi to an inline 6 automatic transmission, that's one of the saddest things I've heard, to be frank. But thankfully, one CEO has the fortitude, has the integrity to give the customers what they want. That is Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford Motor Company. Now, he specifically was interviewed a couple weeks ago. Everyone's talking about, hey, all your competitors making hybrids, making EVs, they're killing their sports cars. The new Corvette's going to be, the Corvette is automatic only, and then they're also going to make a hybrid and then EV, which is abomination in and of itself. And Ford just kind of said, you know what? We're going to keep making it. Now, he literally said they're committed to V8 Mustangs regardless of what others do. When asked for additional comment, he said, quote, if we're the only one on the planet making a V8 affordable sports car for everyone else in the world, so be it, unquote. Which, again, a wise man once said, you don't truly know someone until they're put under pressure, or you don't know someone's character until it's tested. The whole industry is going against them. Everyone else is acquiescing to EVs and killing their most iconic brands. But Jim Farley is keeping that dream alive. So you can still buy a stick shift V8 Mustang, as I believe every Mustang should be by default. Now, they are also giving a lot of consumers different models in terms of options. So the price point could basically be as cheap as you want to the most expensive what you want within moderate reason. And it'll be interesting to see. Again, Mustang is going to celebrate its 60th anniversary this year. And he said, let's see. When asked for additional comment, Jim Farley said, quote, Mustang is going to celebrate its 60th anniversary coming up this year. A lot of our competitors have left. They've come and gone. We never did that. We've always been there with Mustang, 60 years, and it's changed over time, unquote. Which, to be clear, yes, there were some dark years. Let's kind of forget about the 80s and 90s, which, granted, that was the EPA kneecapping automotive companies so they couldn't make fun stuff. But we shan't talk about the 80s Mustang and Camaro. Those were hard times in the automotive community. They were very little horsepower, very low performance. But at least they still came with a stick shift, so you had a modicum of fun when you're actually driving the things. Now, when asked for additional comment, he said, quote, we have the EcoBoost, we have the Dark Horse now, and we're going to continue to invest. And if we're the only one on the planet making a V8 affordable sports car for everyone in the world, so be it, unquote. Again, there's something about a CEO, and again, he's a racer. He gets into cars, he actually drives, has fun. You can always tell kind of which CEOs are really invested in the company, really passionate about it, and which others are just, clocking in and clocking out to do what seemingly is the bare minimum of effort or bare minimum of thought, like many of his competitors. So it's refreshing to see a little bit of hope as the whole many automotive industries are being pushed into making electric vehicles. And I can't help but think, if I had an additional budget, if I wanted a new sports car with a lot of horsepower, and I want something that was American made, it's hard to find something more compelling these days than a gold Mustang. Let me know in the comments. Is this enough to inspire you to go buy a Mustang? Is this something that you think they're going to stick to this for many years? I mean, there was a time when the CEO of Dodge, he said they will never make an EV, they'll make V8s forever. Now, granted, he wasn't the head of the company, and Dodge is under a parent. So again, perhaps that's why they pressured him. But I hope the Ford family, which again, if you look at the voting shares of Ford Motor Company, you and I can buy shares of Ford, sure. But if you want to actually know who controls the company, the Ford Motor Company is still controlled by the family in terms of their voting shares. So I hope the Ford family also commits to giving the customers what they want and keeps the good old American muscle and the V8 alive. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, by the end of February, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback on how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight,